Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalists. Stay for this video. I'm going to be explaining a couple key points that you definitely need to understand so as to be well prepared, especially for the cultural battle that we're involved in, which is quickly becoming an economic one as well. Now, the bar is going up, and if you're not understanding this, then you're going to be poorly prepared so as to deal with it on a personal level, on a family level, explaining these things to your kids. You have to do that so as to give them the tools to protect themselves, protect their minds. Let's see what he says here at the end of this video. It's a video about a lesbian bar in Portland, I think, that it is not woke enough for their own idiotic standards, and it goes as you would imagine. The bar ends up closing, and it's all a funny mess. Now, he reflects on this, and he makes a couple key mistakes that you need to understand.
I, of course, am not at all interested in defending the Portland lesbian bar from the woke mob. I am interested instead in standing on the sidelines and just snickering about the whole thing because it's funny, and also in observing and studying this self-cannibalizing victimhood orgy to see what we can learn from it. And as far as I can tell, the big and also kind of encouraging takeaway is that leftism is inherently weak and vulnerable. It has institutional power, and so it controls the culture, but considered on its own, we see that it's prone to dissension, mutiny, paralysis.
I want to stop it here because here's the first big, huge mistake he makes, which is equalizing wokeism with the left. It's not the same thing. This is key. This is so important for you to understand. The left and wokeism, not the same thing. Wokeism is a poison, is a weapon used by the left so as to weaken Western society. Now, historically, Ernesto Che Guevara, El Che, he would gladly shoot homosexuals in the head. He didn't want any people with mental disorders in his socialist revolution. They would even, get rid of people with physical disorders or problems or weaknesses. Any kind of impairment that made you a weak man or a weak woman, that you were not fit so as to serve in the socialist revolution, then you were discarded like trash. It is still that case today. If you look at China, if you look at Russia, they don't tolerate wokeism in their own countries. How much wokeism is there in Russia or China? You see lots of gay parades in Russia. You see lots of wokeism in the Communist Party of China. Of course not. It is a weapon. It is not. It is a big mistake to think that these two things are equal, using interchangeably left and wokeism. No. And the elite running this, which uses, again, wokeism as a weapon so as to weaken societies in the West, same damn thing. They don't have this themselves. You look at people really running things, not the same people. But let's keep on listening.
This is just one example of the left eating itself. Every day provides new ones. This happens because leftism is a fundamentally self-focused, self-obsessed ideology. It discourages any real unity, any real rallying around a central cause, because everyone's central.
No, you really have to rally around the only idea of serving the communist revolution. You see this, again, he's confusing the left with wokeism. It is a big mistake, and I see a lot of people doing this. The ranks of wokeism are completely different from what they have in the left. And the left, look at the little kids in Cuba. They're all the same. They all rally around the idea of them being communist revolutionaries and pioneers for communism. That's the only identity they all have. And it allows no dissent, no individualism whatsoever.
Cause is themselves. All alliances are formed only temporarily for as long as each person individually feels served by it. Nobody is looking out towards anything transcendent, anything beyond themselves. It's hard for them to march in the same direction together for very long because they're all staring not ahead, but back into themselves, into their egos.
He's talking about wokeism.
Their own asses, basically. The only universal code they recognize is the ever-fluctuating, ever-changing, ever more complicated victimhood hierarchy.
Correct.
A system that breeds competition as each group vies for ultimate victim status.
Correct. He's absolutely right. Among the ranks of wokeism, the more of a self-portrayed victim that you are, if you've been marginalized at some point throughout history, if you have any kind of mental disorder, if you're a loser, a failure, or you're weak, or you can just victim, if you can present yourself as more of a victim, the more points you have in the woke rankings. So if I'm, for example, a guy that identifies as a certain giving minority that was discriminated at some point, that gives me a woke point. If you're black in the United States, I have my black point here, but if I'm black and gay, I have 2 points. Now, if I'm black and trans, that is more of a mental disorder, it's more extreme. So the more you present yourself as a victim, as someone that is incapable of being successful in society, the more points you have. It is an inverted reality by which the more of a damn loser you are, the higher you are. But this is just a tool for the left. It is a poison that they spread in the West. Now, it works beautifully for them. The more of this they spread, the more money they make, the more power they have. If you look at it from the climate change perspective, same damn thing. Why is it that you think they finance all of this? They closed down nuclear, coal, and oil in the West while buying from Russia and China. Look at how much oil was imported from Russia throughout the years. And you see it quite clearly. The more the green movement gets empowered and more influence it has, it just works as a perfect tool so as to make people think, we have to close down those coal plants because, coal is bad, oil is bad. Sure, we have to close all of this down. But it's great if we buy it from Russia, as if it's in a fucking different planet, which is not. It's the same planet that we have. Now, Russia doesn't give a fuck about polluting the environment. Of course they don't. Same for China. But your politician will gladly buy. And the same goes for the United States. The same goes for Europe. They will gladly buy cheaper energy from Russia while at the same time waving the green environment flag and global warming, which the elite flies themselves. Why is it? Why do you think it is? Because it works in their favor. The more of this bullshit you have going on, the more money they make. So they make more money with selling you the stupid electric car and giving up your own natural resources, buying it from China, which they gladly control more directly and they have even more influence over. Okay? And the same thing goes for weakening Western society in general. The more pathetic you are, the more you fall for this idea of the weaker you are, the more of a victim you are, even if it's just in your own head. It doesn't matter. If you're just a victim in your own head and you feel that the weaker, more stupid, and more pathetic you are, the more you go up in this insane woke ranking, the better it is. The better it is for themselves. But they don't apply this themselves. If you look at the elite, the corporate elite, the money, the 8 richest families in the planet, they're the exact opposite. You don't have these, blue-haired lesbians running the world. That is what Matt Walsh doesn't get. This woman is not running the world. These 2 dumbasses are not gonna be running the world anytime soon. Now they may end up in a position of influence in office. They may end up presidents, but they're not running things. Just like Joe Biden is not running anything. Joe Biden has been a yes man his entire fucking life. When it was okay for him to be against abortion, he was against abortion. When it's now okay for him to be in favor of it, he's now in favor. He's just like a snake. He just adapts to whatever the overlords are telling him to say. That's basically what the man has been doing his entire life. And he's so used to being a puppet, to being a cuck his entire life, he just does it naturally, even at the end of his days. This is a key difference, guys. They don't allow this in China. They don't allow this in Russia. You don't have any gay parades over there. All of this crap, all of this social poison that is being spread in the left has no place there. It has no place in the leftist socialist revolution that they feed in their own countries. the adoration for the dear leader, the adoration for the dictator in power, for the leader of the Communist Party in China, for Vladimir Putin in Russia, all of it. And you see this in some cases. It is more of a leftist ideology. They know this perfectly well. You think they don't know it? You think that when Russia finances the left in all across Latin America with the gay movements, with all of the woke crap that they would never even touch with a stick in their own country, they finance it all across Latin America. It's all by accident. Closing down your oil production, your own energy independence, and buying it from damn Russia, buying solar panels and batteries from China. You think this is all an accident? It's all a coincidence? Guys, you really need to understand these things better and not make these kind of mistakes, because if not, you're missing the big picture. If you think these assholes, and yes, some of these assholes may end up being extremely wealthy, they may, the BLM movements, the leaders of the BLM movements, millions, of course, they're just serving the people on top of them. That's why they're rewarded for their servitude with money. Of course they are. Yes, that's always the case. And it works the same thing if you look at Russia, if you look at Cuba, if you look at China. The higher you are in the ranking of power, of course, the more money you will have, the more power you will have. But these assholes here, especially among the woke community, these are just useful idiots. Weak, useful idiots spreading mental poison in the West. Wake up, because this is just getting worse. It's not getting better anytime soon. Folks, for all of this, as always, start preparing. You have the channel, you have my book, Surviving the Economic Collapse. You want to read this stuff and be prepared, because this is getting to a level, the bar keeps on going up, and the less prepared you are, the more likely you are to be misled and ill-equipped for what's coming. Surviving the Economic Collapse as well in terms of economic preparedness. Links are going to be there below in Amazon. See you in the next video, folks. Take care.